And sa video na to, pag-uusapan naman natin yung mga regulations na dapat nyo malaman kung meron na kayong valid vaccination certificate para makapunta dito sa Japan. Panoorin nyo tong video na to at aalamin natin kung ano yung mga dapat ninyong gawin kung kayo ay papunta na dito sa Japan. Hi guys, this is Alan. Welcome back to this channel, Gaijin World. So kung meron na kayong valid certificate na galing sa vaccination, ay alamin natin kung ano ba yung mga rules na dapat ninyong gawin pagdating nyo dito or bago man kayo pumunta dito sa Japan. Kasi dahil nga November 8 ay magi-start na yung pagpapapasok ng limited type of visa like student visa and trainee visa dito sa Japan, ay dapat alam natin kung ano yung mga certification na kakailanganin para tuloy-tuloy lang smooth yung ating pagpasok dito. So ayon dun sa mga websites na ilalagay ko sa description box, ito yung mga dapat nating alamin, like yung vaccination certificates na tinatanggap from different countries na nare-recognize na valid dito sa Japan. Meron silang listahan dito sa website na yan. As of the moment na chinek ko yung website na yan, yung listahan ng countries ay wala pa yung Philippines dyan. Although kasama naman na yung Philippines dun sa na-report natin last week na possible na makapasok dito yung mga student and trainee visa. A copy of the original vaccination certificate must be submitted to the quarantine station. So, copy lang ng original vaccination, pero mas maganda, dala-dala nyo din yung original vaccination certificate sa pagta-travel ninyo. So, ano-ano yung mga dapat nating malaman? Number 1, all of the following information must be written in Japanese or in English. So, yung vaccination certificate, dapat nandun yung pangalan ninyo, date of birth, vaccine name or yung manufacturer ng vaccine, date of vaccination, and number of vaccinations, which is dalawa. Diba? Dalawang beses tayong iba-vaccine. Then, number 2, the certificate must be issued by the government or other public institution of the country or region listed in the appendix. So, merong list of public institutions si Japan na nare-recognize niya kung saan manggagaling yung vaccination certificate ninyo. So, a certificate of vaccination against novel coronavirus infection issued by the government or local government. So, kung private institution yan, ay most likely hindi yan i-honor ni Japan. Number 3 ay the name, manufacturer of the vaccine administered must be one of the following. So, yung Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Moderna, yung tatlong vaccine pa lang na yan ang nire-recognize ng Japan. Yung iba pang mga vaccines ay hindi pa siya nire-recognize as of the moment. Then number 4, it must be confirmed that the applicant has received at least 2 doses of vaccine specified in number 3. So yung mga nabanggit na AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, dapat at least 2 vaccines or doses nun ang inyong na-receive na nakalagay sa inyong vaccination certificate. Even in the case of vaccination with different vaccines, both vaccination must have been given with one of the vaccines specified in number 3. Then number 5, it must be confirmed that at least 14 days have passed since the date of the second vaccination. So dapat 14 days after or 14 days or more after ng vaccination ninyo, yung second dose ng vaccination ninyo na ang lumipas bago kayo bumiyahe papunta dito sa Japan. This measure will be implemented for those who will return to Japan or enter the country on or after October 1, 2021. So habang nabuhugas ako ng pinggan, ayan, kung na may naririnig kayong tubig, ay pag-usapan naman natin, susubukan ko namang ibigay sa inyo yung mga questions na frequently asked questions tungkol sa vaccination, tungkol sa mga vaccination certificate. So unang tanong, our country's vaccination certificate does not include the date of birth. If the certificate includes the passport or the ID number instead, will it be considered valid? Then, ang sagot niya, if your passport number or ID number is written on the vaccination certificate instead of your date of birth and your date of birth is confirmed on your passport or ID card, it will be treated as a valid vaccination certificate. So kung hindi nakalagay yung date of birth ninyo doon sa inyong vaccination certificate, ito ay i-validate gamit ang inyong passport. Nakalagay sa vaccination certificate niyo yung passport number, kailangan ipakita ninyo yung passport ninyo para mag-match, makita nila na magtutugma yung nasa vaccine certificate ninyo and magiging considered na yun as valid na vaccination certificate. So, doon naman tayo sa susunod na question. So, ang question niya, in our country, some vaccines other than Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Moderna have been approved. if I receive the vaccine other than those three, will my vaccination certificate be considered valid? So, ang sagot dito ay not valid. So far, the only vaccines that are valid on the vaccination certificate are Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Moderna vaccines in Japan. For this reason, vaccines other than those three, even if approved in other countries, are not considered valid on vaccination certificates. So itong answer na ito ay makikita nyo ito dun sa website na ilalagay ko sa description box. Pero lately kasi, medyo few weeks ago pa tong frequently asked questions na to. So lately, nung ito nga nagbukas na yung border na gradually, ay may mga nare-receive kaming reports na pwede namang daw talagang kahit anong vaccine pa yan, pero mas mahahaba daw yung inyong quarantine period. Yun ang bali-balita na natanggap namin. Okay, next question. Does both doses of the vaccine received need to be the same product manufacturer? So, ang sagot niya dyan, no, as long as the total number of doses administered is 2 or more and 14 days or more have passed since the second vaccination date. Your vaccination certificate is valid even if you are administered different vaccines. However, both of the vaccines administered must be Pfizer, AstraZeneca, or Moderna. If one of the two vaccines is from the above three companies and another is from other than those three companies, it will not be considered as valid. Kailangan daw na ang vaccine na makukuha ninyo, yung dalawang doses na yan, ay na among dun sa tatlo na ina-acknowledge ng Japan, yung Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Moderna. So, kung may isa dyan na hindi kasali, like halimbawa Sinovac, hindi daw yan i-consider as valid. Pero yun nga lang, meron nga tayong nare-receive na report na hindi na ito yung magfa-follow. So, sana merong mag-verify nito, merong mag-reply sa atin dito sa video na to. At may mag-confirm na talagang nakapasok sila dito na kahit na iba ang kanilang vaccine, kahit hindi Pfizer, AstraZeneca, or Moderna, ay nakapasok sila dito. So, I hope na makapag-reply kayo dito sa video na to. Okay, next question. What should I do if my vaccination certificate includes only the information about the second dose of the vaccine received? So, ibig sabihin wala siyang information about dun sa yung first vaccination niya, yung first dose of vaccination niya, hindi naka-indicate dun sa second dose ng certificate niya, yung vaccination certificate niya. So, ang sagot niya dito, firstly, your vaccination certificate needs to include the information of the second vaccination. Specifically, the number of doses, for example, 2 of 2, nakalagay doon. The name of the vaccine and the date of a vaccination. 14 days or more must have passed since that date. Also, it needs to be confirmed both vaccines administered are any of Pfizer, AstraZeneca, or Moderna in the questionnaire based on the provisions of Article 12 of the Quarantine Act, which you are required to answer. If those requirements are met, your vaccination certificate will be considered as valid. However, if you actually got vaccinated only once, it will not be considered as valid. For example, the combination of a recovery certificate and the first vaccination information will not be considered as valid. So kung meron ka lang first vaccination certificate and recovery certificate, ay hindi daw yun valid. Importante na makita nila na dalawang doses ang natanggap mo for Pfizer, AstraZeneca, or Moderna, or any of the combination. Okay, next question. If 14 days will have passed since the second vaccination date within 10 days after the date of entry, will my vaccination certificate be considered as valid? So, ang sagot niya dito, not valid. The 14-day period after the second vaccination is set based on the period during which the vaccination provides sufficient immunity. For this reason, it is necessary to confirm that 14 days or more have passed since the vaccination or the second vaccination on the date of entry into Japan. Therefore, it will not be accepted if 14 days will have passed since the second vaccination after entering Japan. So, nakasaad dyan na kailangan, kung naka-receive ka ng second vaccination, matagal mo na siyang nakuha. Like 14 days or more na yung nakalipas na nakakuha ka ng second vaccination. Kasi ika-count nila yan. Sobrang higpit pala talaga nila, no? So, I hope may makapag-confirm din ito sa atin tungkol sa mga frequently asked questions na to. Kasi hanggat walang nakakapasok dito, walang magiging testimony. Sana merong mag-reply or may mag-comment and ma-share nila yung kanilang experience. Next question, what should I do if the vaccination certificate of my country is not written in English? I think wala naman magiging problema nito sa sa bansa natin. Pero if ever meron man, please prepare a translation of the vaccination certificate written in Japanese or in English in advance and submit it together with a copy of the vaccination certificate written in original language. So dalawa pala yung kailangan yung isubmit, yung copy ng translation of the vaccination certificate and yung written language, original language. Then next question, is it necessary to show the original vaccination certificate? So ang sagot dyan, submission of the copy of the vaccination certificate to the quarantine station is sufficient if the required contents can be confirmed. Pero para syempre sure tayo at hindi na tayo ma-deny kung makapasok tayo dito, para hindi tayo ma-deny sa pagpasok dito, dalhin na rin natin yung original vaccination certificate. So, bigyan nyo sila ng copy and at the same time, pakita nyo pa rin yung original copy. Okay, next question. Is an electric vaccination certificate or yung electronic vaccination certificate considered as valid? If so, how should I submit its copy version? So, ang sagot niya dyan, an electronic vaccination certificate will be considered as valid if its contents can be confirmed and meets the condition, regardless of the display format such as application, PDF, image, photo, and others. However, it needs to be issued by public organizations in the approved countries or regions. Regarding a copy of an electronic certificate, please consult the quarantine station. For example, you might be asked to send a screenshot of the electronic certificate to the email address specified by the quarantine station. So ayun na guys yung sagot sa kung pwede ka ba mag-submit ng electronic copy ng iyong vaccination certificate. So, pwede naman as long as ma-meet nila yung, kumbaga, ma-confirm nila yung content ng iyong electronic vaccination certificate. Kung naka-PDF man yan or picture or photo, kumbaga naka-screenshot sa iyong phone. So, kailangan yung nakalagay dun ay recognized siya, approved siya ng Japan, yung kung saan man nanggaling yung vaccination certificate ninyo na in-issue ng public organization sa ating bansa. Okay, next question. Will the vaccination certificates issued by the private organizations be considered as valid if those certificates are issued in the approved countries or regions? Ang sagot niya dyan ay not valid. The vaccination certificates in foreign countries are considered valid only if they are issued by public institutions, the central or local government, which we confirmed with relevant countries or regions beforehand. For this reason, vaccines certificates issued by private institutions are not considered as valid, except in special cases where the official institution of the relevant countries or region have approved them in advance. So, kapag kagaling siya sa private institution, yung inyong vaccine certificate ay hindi siya ino-honor ng Japanese government as long as ito ay in-issue sa public institution na nire-recognize ng Japanese government. Okay, last question for this video. If vaccinated persons apply to shortening the quarantine period, is it okay that they act closely with unvaccinated persons? So, ang sagot niya, if vaccinated persons with a valid vaccination certificate apply to shortening the quarantine period, they are required to act without close contact with unvaccinated persons in terms of reducing the risk of infection as much as possible. So, hindi ka basta-basta lalapit or makikisalamuha sa mga makikipagsalamuha sa mga unvaccinated persons. So ayan guys, I hope nakatulong tong video sa inyo. Kung nagustuhan nyo tong ganitong klaseng video ay please like this video and mag-comment na rin kayo. I-share nyo na rin kung na-experience na ninyo yung mga katanungan dito. Kasi syempre, nakalagay lang lahat ito sa website. Kung ano man yung mga i-share ko sa inyo dito na information, lahat yan ay makikita nyo sa website na nasa description box ng video na to. So, ayun, thank you so much for watching. Sa mga nakapag-subscribe na, maraming salamat ulit sa panonood ninyo sa aming YouTube channel, Gaijin World. And sa mga hindi pa nakapag-subscribe, mag-subscribe na kayo and i-hit nyo yung notification bell para lagi kayong updated sa mga susunod pang updates dito sa pagpasok ng mga iba't ibang klase ng visa dito sa Japan. Ngayong nag-start na uling magpapasok ang Japan at mag-ease ng kanilang border restrictions. So maraming salamat uli. I-check nyo yung aming playlist kung may mga hindi pa kayo napanood na videos namin related sa balitang ito. Thank you so much for watching and abangan nyo yung mga susunod pa naming videos. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye!